forum of artists that are in the show, and we would like to have them talk about their art and why they are pursuing it, why they're doing it. But first I'd like to have introductions from Walter, and then we can go.
Yeah, but thank you. I'm very happy to give some welcoming and introductory remarks. This past year, we revamped our program. It was called Media and Fine Arts, and now it's called Digital and Studio Arts. And I would say the biggest difference is an increase in the coverage and the number of offerings in digital arts. I would say that's the biggest difference in the program, and it's somewhat more streamlined. Instead of having multiple tracks, students take, there's one track. But students get a solid grounding in the traditional studio arts, but in addition, as everyone has to do so today, they get involved and eventually learn industry standard skills in computer-based software. Now my position here, I teach in the liberal arts area courses such as humanities, the Introduction to Humanities course that we offer, Intro to Performing Arts, and I'm currently teaching American and World Cinema classes, and the Gen Ed capstone that involves the arts quite a bit as well. Something about me. We have a Gen Ed component. We promote the arts across the curriculum, not just for majors and minors, but there is a Gen Ed requirement for all students. They take one course in the arts, and it can be somewhat historical, such as Introduction to Visual Arts, or Intro to Performing Arts, or very hands-on, and actually both of those courses have strong hands-on components as well. But even courses such as digital photography and drawing can be used to fulfill Gen Ed requirements. We also encourage students to take arts courses as electives, regardless of their major, because they build skills such as problem solving, critical thinking, just all kinds of areas. They're analyzing the problem and designing appropriate solutions for it. Creativity, adaptability as well, and these are skills that apply to a wide range of jobs and careers, not just the arts. Internship is a prominent component. Students take at least one semester. Internship is work experience with an art organization or some other entity that can make use of their skills. Now, in addition to the courses, we offer a number of events and activities, including this one, this wonderful collaboration with the Wolf Lake Initiative, I believe it's called. Yes, and the third such collaboration here at the college. We have exhibits, fall, winter, spring, year-round exhibits by local artists primarily. Martin coordinates these exhibits. We have shows as well by students, an annual art show in April that's coordinated with the Humanities Festival activities. High school and elementary school art fairs that we invite students from local elementary and high schools to submit their works, and we have cash prizes that are donated as well. Last spring, one of our professors and the new director, Kirk Robinson, ran a workshop for middle schoolers that was very well attended, and we're going to try to have more such activities, including the summer, perhaps summer workshops, a summer camp, although there's nothing definite at this particular time. I would encourage you certainly to go up to the third floor. I'd be glad to take you up there in a little while, or Martin, or we have a couple of our graduates here, Derek Horsley and Julio Guerra, to take a look at the third floor mural that was done several years ago. It was the initiative of a student, Sean Rogers. He proposed the idea and faculty picked up on it. So he and Betty DeLink, who's another longtime instructor in our program, and Caitlin Mills-Groniger, who works in development but has a degree in art, did much of the artwork, but students, faculty, and staff contributed to what the mural that you'll see up there as well. You could also take a look at the art room that we have, and downstairs on the first floor, the sculpture room and ceramics room, and I think the ceramic instructor is around today as well. So I'm happy to, be here and meet all of you and welcome you to today's events.
I think how we're going to do this, since I now know where the video camera is that Cindy and Pat, when it gets your turn for the hot seat, you might want to switch with someone on this side. But I think maybe we should start out with Martin. And if you could just talk about your art, what got you interested in it, and
my name is Martin Martinez. I'm the curator here for the Bernard Gallery. I have been doing this for quite a long time. As Walter said, we have about 6 or 8 shows a year. Besides that, I teach in the art area. I teach art history, visual arts, and also teach digital photography. And besides that, I am a photographer. I used to do all of the photography for the school, so all the brochures, all the catalogs, everything that you would see, I would have done, but because now I have too much on my plate, I don't do that anymore. There are 2 pictures that are in this show. Currently, I'm in 2 other shows as well. One is at 119th Street at Sincere Bank, and then I have one at 659. My pictures are, I would say, not the traditional type of pictures. Like I try to look at nature, look at things kind of in a slightly different way. 2 of the pictures I have up there were kind of inspired by films. I'm very much into film. In fact, I teach 2 quorums this year, one science fiction, basically science fiction film and horror film. And I was, when Mike asked me about the show, I wanted to do something, and there's some very nice work here, but that's not the way that I shoot, because I see things in a slightly different way. I think that this was a really fine show, because it has a lot of really great work here, and like I have to thank Mike for asking me to kind of co-host it. And this is our 3rd year we did it.
that's what Walter said. I believe him.
I think it's 3 years.
At least.
At least 3 or 4 at most. But I think that when you look at the show, you see diversity. And one thing that I think is kind of neat is I have some former students. You guys were with me, what, about 8 years ago?
Yes.
about 8 years here. Well, and then I have 4 current students, and 1 student is in the show as well. So I think that it's kind of neat for them to be part of this. I'll let someone else talk, and then if you have anything else to ask me or such, I will go on to talk.
Liz and Walters. Graduated in 2007, and most of my work deals with realism. I like to work with geometry a lot. Try and combine the harmony of both of them, study the outside, external, and bring it together and put it on canvas so people can see. Most of the mediums I like to work with, acrylics and oils, painting, pencil, of course, and
Very good, thank you. Derek? Julio?
I'm Julio Guerra. I'm an alumni from 2007 or 2008. I don't know which one off the top of my head. Just because he confuses me a lot. I'm a street artist, comic book artist, and horror-inspired artist. So a lot of my stuff ranges from everywhere. Currently, I am doing this show. I'm doing the show with Martin at Studio 659, which is Things That Go Bump in the Night. I am a White Ripple resident artist for the gallery in downtown Hillsville, Hammond area, and getting ready for the Art Den Muerte show hosted by Flex, who just had a show here not too long ago, which is basically a Day of the Dead celebration art show that will be in downtown Hammond. Basically, my stuff is comic books is what got me into what I'm doing now. When I was a kid, I remember the first gift was a Superman comic, and I despise Superman. He doesn't do anything in the world right now. So to have that, I just saw the pictures, and that's how I got to read, or learn how to read and whatnot, and drew from there, kept going. I hit a wall for a while, just personal problems, and this gentleman here kicked me in the butt and said, "You got to keep going." And to this day, he still makes me go bigger and strive to be the best. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't do half the stuff I do now. Yeah, that's about it on my end.
Well, Travis? Jump in? Jump in?
My name is Travis Rosé. The work I'm showing for the show is kind of an ongoing project on the larger Calumet region, but kind of specifically looking at Wolf Lake, at the border of Indiana, Illinois, and the lakefront. So it's all kind of based off of the history of the landscape, the way the landscape has transitioned and changed, the influence, the strong influence of industry in the area, but then kind of the little chunks and pieces that still retain natural aspects, either because they've been brought back to a natural landscape or because they've stayed that way since the beginning. So, I mean, it's like I mentioned at the beginning, it's kind of ongoing. A lot of it's based on research. The reason I'm here today is because I reached out to Michael Booz, because I know that he runs the Wolf Lake Initiative, and I was interested in kind of the split that happens at Wolf Lake, because it's divided by the state line. So I think that's an interesting component to the lake, the fact that the lake has evolved over years. So the project definitely relies on me kind of reaching out to people, doing research on sites and things that have happened in the area, and kind of then going out and exploring and seeing what I see in that place and kind of reacting to it through photographs.
Pat, you want to take that? Just have to watch Martin.
I'm Deb Hanson, and I am an oil painter. I have been an artist my whole life. I was very fortunate that during my elementary school, I had art classes all along, in high school all along. When I got to college, however, I wanted to go to the Art Institute. Mother said, no, you won't. You have to earn a living. Your artists don't earn a living. So I did not become an art student at the Art Institute. However, you can't keep that out very long. If you have to express yourself, you have to do it. And I got married, became a teacher, and not an art teacher, just a teacher. But all the time I was painting and drawing and painting and drawing and taking lessons here and taking lessons there, taking lessons here. Then finally I decided the medium of choice was going to be oil. And so I have been working with oil paints now for probably 40 years. And it is the medium of choice for me. I have lived in the Calumet region for a long time, and while I'm aware that there's a great deal of industry here, there's also a great deal of beauty. And that's what I try to focus on in my work. I have a painting in the back, the lily pond. The lily pond was not in this area. That was from Michigan, southwest lower Michigan, but then maybe it's the Calumet region too. I think that goes up a little bit up there. The painting that I have over there on the wall of the skyscape, that is from Michigan City, Indiana, right at the lakefront there. And I happened to be there on a day when there was a storm that was moving out to the lake. And I saw that one seagull sitting there looking out, and took that photograph and said, that is just great, because I'm going to put that little bird there. And the name of that painting is The Lone Sentry. He's looking out all by himself into the water. Then I did a photograph. Because I am a studio artist, I do not paint outside. Mostly I paint inside. And that goes back to the fact that, as I just told you about my history, I raised a family. I went to work, I became a teacher. I didn't have time to sit out in the meadow and paint. When I painted, I had to run down to my little studio and get as much time as I could. And so I'm a studio artist, and I paint from photographs mostly. And I have a photograph next to the Lone Sentry of a great blue heron. And that's a very interesting story with that. I was doing some private tutoring, and I wanted to find some wading birds to paint. I wanted to paint birds, and I wanted some wading birds. So I was going around to little ponds and things where I could find some birds, and I'm coming back from this tutoring assignment, and it was in Orland Park on LaGrange Road, and it was very, very busy, lots of traffic, and bumper to bumper, and I stopped at one place, and there was a clearing, and I looked over, and there, from where I am to the end of the room, was a great blue heron. And I said, oh my God, I said, oh, I want that bird. So, didn't have a camera with me, came back the next time I tutored with my camera, and the bird was there, probably as close as, again, the end of the door. That was it. Got the camera on the bird. If you know how birds are, they look at you with that one eye, because they only have monovision. They don't have two eyes to see. So he's looking at me with that one eye, and probably thought, she's probably not, and she's coming after me, so I'm getting out of here. So he flew into the middle of the pond. I thought, I don't care where you go, I'm going to take your picture. So I took the photograph of the bird in the middle of the pond. I didn't even look at it. Got home, downloaded it to my computer, and realized that the bird in the background was fall and beautiful trees all over the back. And I said, oh my God. So I actually did two paintings. One painting was the bird, which is in the show right now in Indiana. Michigan, Plymouth, Indiana. And then I did another painting of the whole background, the whole fall scene. So, anyway, it paid off. Interesting story about that. But when I was over to the side and the bird was watching me, I thought, I wonder what he thinks I'm up to over here, because he was really interested, yet he was scared, you know. And so, but anyway, I got my birds, and I also have some photographs of some egrets, and I love that egret photo over there, the white bird. And I have some of those too, and I haven't done one of those yet. Maybe that's down the road for me. Right now I'm into skyscape, I'm doing a sky that with just, the whole thing is gonna be sky and about this much on the bottom of land, trees. And that, I think artists go through phases, you know, it's the land, it's the flowers, it's the birds, it's right now I'm in the sky phase. Looking upward, perhaps that's the next step for me, I don't know. Anyway, that's where I am now. I have a painting at home on my easel. I try to keep a painting going all the time. End of story.
Cindy, it's your hot seat.
My hot seat.
Why don't you just exchange with
Hot seat over there. Can you see through here? Are you okay to see through here? Is that what- oh.
Okay, well, my name is Cindy Downs, and I'm currently a student in Martin's digital photography class. He is challenging me quite a bit. I like it a lot. And I'm currently a employee of Calumet College as well. I work in the development office with Caitlin. Boy, where do I start? Let's see. I took digital photography in high school. I did black and white photography as well, developing in high school as well. I also wanted to go to a digital photography school, and I'm about 8 years old. Had a camera in my hand ever since then, and I keep moving up in the camera world and love digital, and I just hope to keep on moving forward.
All right, thanks, Cindy. Thanks, everybody. So bury your soul. But we just have a Q&A if anybody in the large audience has a question.
Yeah, I have a quick question. We're seeing sort of the arts like everywhere, especially Northwest Indiana, Southeast Chicago. So any comments on how that affects your lives? Are the opportunities better now, let's say, Martin, than some years ago?
I think with the arts, when we I have had so many art shows, and it seems like each one I get, sometimes it seems, how can we top this? And we get, like we go here, and then the next time it even jumps up even more. So, I mean, I think with having art shows here at the school, which I think is essential to have, because at other schools they have an art gallery, and having local artists show here. And I think that having, I think that's a key thing, because local artists sometimes may not have a chance to show somewhere else. And I have had many people that showed here, and then they went on, well, like you're showing a lot of places. I'm going to get her. I'm going to go and show a lot more, and I try to encourage my other students and alumni to show. When we have a nature-themed show, it's always nice to see this area. When you look outside, when you go up on, let's say, the third floor or second floor, you look outside and you see BP. You see the oil refinery, and you see the smoke there. There's so much more. I mean, in Travis's pieces here, I mean, you see the beauty in nature. Now, the one shot that larger where you have the graffiti, which I really like that piece. People sometimes don't appreciate nature, and I really want to get that piece. And there's so many beautiful things in the Calumet region to take pictures of, and I think that people sometimes forget that. Going to Edgar's Grove, going to Wolf Lake, going to other places that might be a little bit further out from the Calumet region. We have a lot to offer here, but sometimes we get a view of BP and of the steel mills. But there's a lot of nature here. And when Mike, I have known Mike now for like three years, and I always thought that it was neat what he's trying to do. And Wolf Lake Initiative, and trying to bring nature back into the forefront of this area. I know that the school is trying to do the same as well. You've seen in the back of the school, we have the little nature walk and the plants, native plants. And so we're trying to do our bit as well. And I know that we have had classes in nature type of courses because as we have the dunes, we have Wolf Lake, we have a lot on offer here, and capturing them in art is I think people can really get the essence of what this area is all about.
I can piggyback off of him for the opportunity portion of it. I think the communities are finally accepting art a little bit more. I know downtown Hammond has their whole art community with all their galleries like right there, and Blue Room Cafe, and Whiting has 119th Street, and Gary, Miller Beach is starting to really come about. We frequent a brewery that does a drinking draw the first Wednesday of every month. All you have to do is show up, bring your wares, and they take nothing from you. They don't ask for a cut and whatnot. And a lot of patrons come in and they buy. And it just could be some random thing. And they're like, oh, this is really cool. And it gives you opportunity to network with other artists. And that way you can hook up for other shows. Like, hey, I saw your work. I really enjoyed your work. Why don't you come with me over here to do this show? And because of that, myself and Derek have got like a group of friends that we never knew that we could reach to. Like we hold back to the comic book stuff. We're friends with guys from Marvel and DC Comics, and it was just networking. And 18th Street had a storage container, which looks like something you'll see on a flatbed truck. And they did a call for artists to come out and just, here, paint, this is your canvas, do whatever you want with it. They gave us 4 hours, and they provided all the supplies, all the paints, the paintbrushes, rollers, spray cans, the tips for the spray cans. And we had a field day. It was like one of my best Sundays ever doing it. So a lot of places, it's there. A lot of people want artists and whatnot to come in, especially breweries. These micro brews are coming everywhere, and they're really like, hey, this is, come in, drink, draw, have fun, you know, do our walls and stuff. It's not like your typical restaurant, like how like Bennigan's used to be, where you see all these photos and everything. No, this is stuff from local artists who support each other, and they put their names out there. They're very supportive and grateful for everything. So opportunities are growing a lot, and we have more galleries coming around, like Studio 659 is really pushing out there, and Paul Henry and Substation, and now we have White Ripple, so it's coming together nicely.
Well, the one thing that I'm trying to do when I have a chance is each year we have here a 50 and over show because many times, I mean, I like to showcase young artists, but I like to showcase people that are over 50 years old. And this year was the first time that I was in the show. I didn't make the show for me to be in the show. I wanted to showcase people that I admire a lot. And so when I had this show, I got to thinking that we need to support ourselves. And what I mean by that is I want to, when I get a chance, all the people that are in the show that I have all of the phone numbers and addresses. But when I get a chance, hopefully during the winter break, I'm going to put out a newsletter. And the newsletter is going to have all about us, everybody from the 50 and over show, and everybody else that wants to be part of this. So every month I'll email or send out a newsletter saying where you're at, where I'm at, where you're at, and so we can all support each other. Now, there's different art organizations that may do that, but this is friends. This is people who really want to support each other. So as I said, this is kind of a big thing that I'm going to do because I want to do it right. And I asked all the people that were involved in the 15 Overshoot would they like to be part of it, and they said absolutely. Because I mean, I get phone call, what is next art show? Like, I want to come here, this, that. So if I, now, you're going to be on that list too. You're going to be on a list, you're going to be on a list. So when I get it all set, then everybody is going to know where everybody is showing. We can all support each other. And hopefully this can grow and grow. As I said that some other art groups may have their member, but I want to make this personal. I want to make sure that everybody knows who everybody is, what we're all up to, and then whatever we have to show, we can support each other.
Martin, I have another question.
Yes.
I noticed that one of your pieces here has a reference to a work in progress.
Yes, my picture that I took is it's kind of a weird picture. When I opened up my door and I looked out to put my foot out to get out of my door, I seen this leaf, and I never seen this leaf, a leaf with pods on it, and I thought that this was odd. So the picture that I took, I just had to put because I was not expecting to take pictures. I was expecting to shop that day because there are days that I mean, and being photographers, we have to have a day off. I mean, I don't want I don't want to go out. Yeah. I mean, if I'm with my wife and my dog, I want to enjoy it. I don't want to say, oh, can you wait? And then I'll get involved in it. I'll take a lot of shots. So what I want to do is, with this thing, it's called a phase 1 invasion. And so what I'm going to do is, because this leaf looks like pods, and as I said, I was inspired by horror films and science fiction films, and it kind of looked like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So I'm doing a photo novel with kind of like pictures and stories to that. So so as I said, it's a work in progress. Because I'm making up some shots, but I'm also finding shots that work for that will work with the story as well. So it's work in progress. As I said, it may take a year or so to do, but I think when they get done, it's going to be kind of a cool thing. And it's a science fiction type story, but it's not. It's not like it's not what you would expect. So it's going to have a twist in it. So I have the story already written, but now I'm taking pictures for it.
So, if there's no questions, I just want to invite all of you out to Wolf Lake Watershed, which include Acres Grove, and come out for inspiration. About 3 weeks ago, and Cindy knows this because she was just down the hall with me. I get a call at 8:30 in the morning, and someone called and said, there's a dozen,
White pelicans.
yeah, there's about a dozen white pelicans that just landed in Wolf Lake, in the North Channel. Because we've had one white pelican hanging around for a couple of months. We had the active living fair, and you saw one, right? You went on the hike with Dr. Choi from Purdue. And so I knew there was one out there, but somebody calls me up, and I don't know, never heard of his name, and he tells me that there's a dozen that are out there, and so that's kind of unusual. And it's during migration season, so it's not that population during migration.
Did you get a photograph?
So I went out there.
Nobody?
So I ran out there at 8:30, and I do have it on my, but they were all huddled behind an island in the middle of the channel, and I just had my cell phone. So, but I wanted to record it, and because I had also alerted birders, I had about 30 birders on the list, so I just wanted to let them know what was going on. And so I came back to Calumet College, and then about 11:30, during lunch, my early lunch break, I passed by there to see if they were still there. And by then, at that time, the sun had come out and really turned into a nice day. And here they were fishing the North Channel. And I mean, I used to go all the way to Davenport, Iowa to see the eagles fish the Mississippi. But then, and to watching these huge birds out there fishing the North Channel, I mean, it was amazing. So, because I had told Cindy, so I was expecting, I knew she was working that day, so she has to make money. So she went out at noon and they were gone. But it's migration season.
That's the story of migration.
Yeah, they came down just to probably eat and maybe rest a
What
little
is
bit.
the migration route, does anybody know?
Just about anything that I see flying now, I figure is going to at least as far as Florida. But then some of the birds go all the way down to South America or the Central America or the Caribbean. So you never quite know where they're going. But they're going usually in the southeast. The sandhill cranes that we see in northwest Indiana, I think they're mainly headed to Florida. But wildlife is interesting, and if you know the history of this area, hunters back in 1870s, 1880s made a living. And if you read the history logs in the journals, they write about darkness at noon, when there were so many waterfowl in the sky that it would blot out the sun. And this was not just in the Calumet region, but also in the Kankakee. And in fact, it was something I was reading in the 1880s in Lake County. It was their official document. I can't remember what but I was reading it, and they were comparing the wildlife killed in the Calumet region versus the Kankakee region, and it was about equal. And of course, all this was going to Chicago's restaurants for evening dining, but that's what they survived on. And then you have stories of tracking, well, some of these stories are in a book that I've written called Over the Line, and I'm trying to get it published. And one of these days, maybe I will. But the Wolf Lake Initiative is also involved in co-sponsoring monthly forum here at Calumet College. And so we're on the first Tuesdays of every month, we're bringing in speakers that will be, many of them are authors, or they deal with authors about the Calumet region, and it's just local history. And last October, at the October forum, Pat was there, and so was Martin. We had Dave Daverton, who's written a field guide for Whiting, Robertsdale, and he was in there talking about his book, but also about his engagements with George Lake, Wolf Lake, and it's over the years, his whole adult life. And he's a lawyer in Hammond. So those are some of the things that are going on, kind of some of them outside of your area, but it may not be outside of your area of interest. So, so does anyone else have a commercial? Hearing none, seeing none. So, but Walter did invite those that are not familiar with the campus to go up and look at third floor. And I think Travis has already been up there, right?
It's great. It's amazing.
Is it?
Yep.
Yeah, it is. And it's funny,
Different world.
just going up the elevator at each floor, and you have almost a completely different scene as you look out of the elevator. And I'm sure they did that on purpose, but it's a nice ride up and down. So we have at 2 o'clock, we have a workshop on recycled materials. So it's almost 2. So if some of you haven't had a chance to look at what's hanging on the wall, so we can just take a little break and can look around, and then we should have the workshop. Since we're all artists here, maybe 2, but maybe 2:15. We'll see.
What's the story?
The story. I was teaching in Orland, I was tutoring in Orland Park, and I was looking for birds, large water birds, and I wanted to take a picture. And I found one, and I stopped, and I got out of the car, and there was a great blue heron, and he was about from here to the end of this room. That's how close he was to me, okay? And I got my camera. When I put my camera up, he flew out into the water. And I took the photograph anyway. And when I took the photograph and got it home, I downloaded it and found out that I had a picture of him here. And in the back, there were beautiful, it was autumn, and there were all these trees. It was beautiful in the back. So what I did was I got 2 photographs out of it. I got the one with the bird and the trees in the distance, and then I took him out and just have a photograph of him. But you know what I like about this is, look, you can see the color on the wing bars. You don't normally get to see that very much. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay. I'm Julio Guerra. I'm the artist of Conform Repeat. It's part of a series called The 19, which is basically just fun little monsters that I'm creating. And they will have basically lyrics from some of my favorite songs. It can range from political or just society or just having a good time.
Okay, so what, like, for example?
For example, the Conform, Fit In, Conform, Fit In, Conform, Fit In, just Be Just Like Me is from a nerdcore song called Weirdo. The artist is Dr. Awkward, and basically he was talking about like how everyone watches Game of Thrones and how everyone needs to watch Game of Thrones and all this good stuff, but basically to conform and to fit in, and if you don't watch Game of Thrones, how you were like shunned from society. So that's one of them. Another one that I'm going to work on, it's kind of like a secret project, but it will drop on Black Friday in the city of East Chicago. And I cannot really say where the location, but it would say, remember you're unique just like everyone else. So that's our big deal. Me and Derek Horsley will be doing something for the event. It's a worldwide event. It's legitimately worldwide. It's called Flood the Streets with Art. And basically the premise is to brighten someone's day with a free piece of art, just laying anywhere in your city, town, metropolitan area. So I'm an East Chicago native, and I want to give back to my community in a special way. So that's what we're doing for that. And that's where you'll see the next of the 19th.
Oh, this is great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, this was a simple study I did. It was really fast when I do geometry piece like this. I basically start with the circle, like the old quote. Plato said, "You can't conceive the many without the one. Everything starts with the circle." And I see what it turns into really simply. This one turned into, a divisible part of 12. and 7, which is, harmonious numbers with everything in nature that you can turn it into. And this was one of the more simple, quick geometric figures I could put together for this show, and I wanted to try and get this and one of the realism pieces that I do. But this one I wanted to do both, but got a really big piece in, so
Yeah,
I
and
just
you are?
stuck to one piece. Derek Horsley.
Right. Okay,
And yeah.
thank you. It's beautiful.
Thank you very much.
It's,
Okay, my name is Travis Rose. I'm working on a project that doesn't have a title yet. It's ongoing, so it's untitled. And it's an examination of the Calumet region, specifically Wolf Lake, the Indiana-Illinois border, the border of Lake Michigan, and all this kind of encompasses the history of the place, history of the landscape, the transformation of a natural landscape into an industrial landscape, and kind of just the complicated scenarios that pop up in the context of what exists here and how it's transformed. So, I think the large image is a good example of this kind of complicated relationship. Eggers Grove is one of the few remaining areas that is original forest. Nothing had been built there, it hadn't been dumped on, but yet everything kind of surrounding it has been transformed. Power lines, factories, roads, rail lines, and so it's this kind of isolated original landscape. And then my photograph depicts the plaque that kind of talks about the relationship of this space to everything around it. And the plaque has been graffitied and scratched and kind of shows, even though this landscape is pristine, there's this complicated relationship to everything else that surrounds it. So, and I think that's what a lot of the pieces kind of get at is there's the obvious imagery, and what's contained in the image is sometimes obvious, but then knowing the history, knowing the surroundings, knowing that this is a memorial to a missile base that used to be surrounding a lake that defended the city of Chicago. It was interesting talking to Michael and showing Michael the photographs, because then he talks about the fact that this park surrounding the lake is slag. It's fill from the mills, and they would dump slag there. So to put in the memorial, they had to jackhammer and drill through iron slag to get the base to stick in the ground. So, and I think that's just one more story that doesn't come across in the individual image, but I think that's important to the whole project. Should I keep going? So the bottom image is the border obelisk at the kind of corner of the Illinois, Indiana, and Lake Michigan border. I learned about this actually from you, that this obelisk is there. It's gone through this complicated transformation where it was moved across the road, it was uncovered, it was restored, it was moved to a better location, and then it's been degraded again and again. And again, my interest is, I like all the history of that, and then the photograph kind of explores the visual of this historical marker to the markers that are existing there now, the power lines and just that industrial landscape. The image above is a rephotograph of a painting that depicts the perfect Lake Calumet, where it's this symmetry or this balance between what looks like green landscape and then industry. And I think what's amazing about the picture is that, or the painting, my image of the painting is that it's just this it's the ultimate, it's the kind of utopia of industrialization that never really took place, and now it's this polluted, very compromised waterway.
Do you want to take a peek?
But what's interesting is that that kind of shape, that kind of fishbone shape still exists. Like that's the shape of the lake, which identifies it, I think, as that place. The next two also kind of work as a pair, I think, where they're both in and around Edgar's Grove. So the burn image is a detail of trash that was kind of consumed during a prairie fire that I don't think was intended. And then the image next to it is a tree that was felled by beavers. So there's this process happening in the landscape where some of it's natural, some of it's not, some of it's kind of this hybrid where it's like probably either intentionally or accidentally set fire, which was part of the process of the prairie, but you know, these like plastic bottles and things kind of transform, and that's just trash and human influence on the landscape. And then finally is just kind of this moving image of Wolf Lake from the tollway going through the center of the lake. And again, the project is a larger examination of kind of the layers of natural and industrialization on the landscape. So, I mean, I think this is a really dramatic example of those two kind of bouncing back and forth. The lake is beautiful, the landscape is beautiful, but it's also, you know, what's happening with the industry and the history of that place is all so intertwined and so layered that it's impossible to take it apart and say one's right, one's wrong. It's impossible to say that we can bring the natural back to the way it was, because that's an impossibility.